We do it. Okay, well, would you mind then just talking me through just the exhibit here with the Life, Environment, People course? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Great.
The exhibition actually has been a really wonderful occasion to put our creativity at work. And usually you don't even know that your course mates can actually do all these wonderful things. And just with a simple assignment, you see tons of completely different results, and you actually have the opportunity to see what was in their heads. Whereas usually in a normal course, you just write an essay and nobody has a clue about what you've been thinking all this time. Well, this is my work.
Great.
And basically, what I was really interested in is, one of the things I was interested in is how we explored the concept of playfulness as a means to discover more and be more creative and allow yourself to just have more ideas and go further instead of usually having to be assessed and be tested, and that kind of creates some sort of panic and feel of being really observed, and that kind of doesn't allow you to do as much as you would want to do. And basically, I wanted to create a little game, and so I almost presented it when I did finish it as a game, and the game is the title of the work, which is I Spy With My Little Eye, and the game is simply, well, what do you see? And usually the normal answer, it's a very familiar picture, so I guess it's a 6 within a circle. So if I can see it, I'm not colorblind. And then they take it away and you never see it again. But as a kid, I always thought, but wait, it's such a nice picture, and maybe I'm not finished, maybe there's something else, who tells you that the 6 is the only thing you can see, or what if you flip it around? And they would always just take it away because the test was done. You were colorblind or you were not, and you could go on into your life and not be colorblind or whatever. But instead I wanted to look at it more, because you could see anything. You could see a sea of bubbles, you could see all these beautiful colors, or I always wondered, but what is beyond? I kind of felt that they showed me a little bit, but I was sure that there was something else. But they would always take it away. Instead, you could see, I don't know, you could see a dragon, you could see things that don't even exist. And instead it's used as such an objective tool. And after the test, they just tell you, you're colorblind, you're not, or you're dysfunctional in some way. And I always thought, okay, but what do colorblind people see? That's really interesting, and I never found an answer. Apparently they all saw the same thing, but... So it's an object that always really reminded me of playfulness, and I wanted to look at it more. So actually, that's what I did, and in doing it, you would realize that it's actually not a closed circle. That, space permeates through it, and that it's malleable. Maybe it was just a snapshot of a moving picture. Or maybe these are not cold colors and warm colors. Maybe there can be some cold colors here and some warm colors there. So for me, it really is an image of playfulness, and that has always been presented as something scientific, objective, closed. And I just thought this would be a perfect opportunity to actually play around.
Yeah, that's really great. So if we just go around and just sit down, and then if you could just say just a little bit about yourself, and it's that. Just say a little bit about yourself, perhaps your name and and then we could go on if you like, just to talk a little bit about the Life, Environment, People course.
So my name's Mariangela. I'm Italian, and I've been in this country for 4 years now. And I actually don't study biology at all. I don't do management, I do economics. And but when I was in high school, we would study a really vast range of subjects. And for example, I really liked biology, but or tons of other things. I loved history, I loved tons of other things. But at uni, you kind of just do your own subject. Which is really too bad. I really I do economics and international development. And I really like the fact that I'm even just looking at 2 subjects instead of 1. But actually, this course has allowed me to meet many other people, to talk to them, to get to know about all these things that were kind of just not in your domain. I mean, you're supposed to do economics, you're not supposed to wonder about biology or anything else. But I think it really gave me the opportunity to open up, to explore more, to even just voice some concerns that you don't have the space to. And I think some other people that haven't taken the course think it's kind of like wishy-washy and like we have to do some artwork. I mean, what does that mean? But actually, I think it was one of the most challenging courses. I mean, you wouldn't just have to take a test at the end and like put all of this work, but actually put all the work in a certain set of period and have one task. But throughout all the year, you actually were really challenged and you had to think so much and like go and explore your ideas. I don't think I've ever done a course that actually was this challenging. I mean, I would come out of the course exhausted and my head was just buzzing. So I thought it was really, really, really interesting, and I hope that, there is no prejudice around it because there's artwork at the end. I think this really demonstrated to me that there should be artwork probably in every course, or at least once in your degree, because if you look at the quality of these works, it's really, really impressive, and some of them come from just the guy that was sitting next to you and you just know his name and what degree he's doing, but that person actually has a life and has a mind of his own and can offer so much to the world. These are people that never do arts, but they offered me so much even just by coming to this exhibition once. So I think there should be some sort of artwork in every course, at least in one part of your degree.
And as you said, you got to know other people and what they were thinking. Could you just tell me a little about this kind of educational experience where, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it feels like you've reflected upon yourself as well as the nature of the learning. Is this correct, that as you've been going through the course, it's made you, well, it's helped you to think more about who you are and what you believe and how you think?
I think it was a more personal experience, and actually what I found quite difficult at university is very often you felt that the whole point of this just was the actual task, and it wasn't the process, it wasn't what you really understood about economics or how much you cared or how good an economist you were, but it was more about being able to fulfill that exam, and they look very often similar. In development, in international development, I felt I had a bit more space actually, because you really have to think up solutions, but very often it was hard to be a person and to put your own inputs. And actually I think that's a huge problem in economics, because if we're going to be the economists of tomorrow, I think we shouldn't all study from the same book across the entire UK and all have the same opinion. Maybe we should want to come up with our own ideas and know how we can contribute. And unfortunately, I don't think that's been done enough, and that was really frustrating. I know that I'm Italian, but I studied in France and I did the French baccalaureate, and we actually had a lot of exams and a lot of work, but you could put in personal inputs. Everybody has to do philosophy, and it's not just learn all what the Greek philosophers have said, but you actually have to, they ask you a question and you actually have to argument, and you have 3 or 4 hours, I can't remember, to write it. So you really have the time to think about it, put inputs from other subjects. And I remember when I was doing the French baccalaureate, feeling that it really was my work, and that in some aspects I didn't just have to regurgitate what I learned, but I could participate. And I haven't found this in my degree, or very rarely. And I think above all, that's, I think, the saddest part. It's a very good university, it has very good professors, but it doesn't take into account that people have a mind of their own and could contribute personally, and I really think that's a shame.
Yeah, could you say just a little bit about Alan Rayner's influence? Because Alan, I think it's the past 11 years, has been offering this Life, Environment, People course. And have you got any reflections on almost like how Alan helped to create the conditions to enable you to produce this and think this. So,
I think it was very progressive because he probably knows that at the beginning we don't really know what we're doing, what this is all about. But he really broke the ice. Can you say that in English? I can't remember. But yeah, he really, at the beginning, he made us understand that we could be comfortable there, but that it wasn't going to be exactly like a wishy-washy thing, but that we had to feel comfortable, but that it was going to be challenging, and that I think we had to take it seriously, I would say, but exactly like in a playful way, as in something you want to be interested in. And I don't know, I really think that was a nice introduction. I can't fully explain it, but I think it was just setting that atmosphere where we would then be comfortable to receive a lot of ideas that we weren't very familiar with. And he also told us that it was very important for us to keep on reassessing it, to not just believe everything he said, but to actually question it and say, like, okay, but do I agree? Does this make sense to me? And I thought that was important because, because that is important to remember, that you can still have your opinion about it and you don't have to agree. You really don't have to. And so those were the premises on which we then began. And like, I thought it was really progressive and really, and there was a point in the middle where you really feel like you're a bit lost and you don't know where you're going. But then you start slowly seeing the bigger picture and things start fitting in. And then you would go read the articles, from different authors, and finally it actually would fit and come together. I thought it was a really interesting approach, and I really felt, I think the word really is challenged. As I said, I would come out of the class and I would have so much to think about, and sometimes I actually had to go isolate myself just for that half an hour to keep on absorbing it, because 1 hour sometimes is too short, or it's too, maybe you need a bit more time. And I would either have to go isolate myself for a bit, or either need to grab somebody from the course and keep on talking about it because you need to get your head around it. Or you would think about it at home in other moments. You would really carry it around you and see how it reflects in other works that have nothing to do with inclusionality. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're all talking about the same thing, really. So I thought he really, I would say, more than guided us, he just enabled us to reflect. So it was not patronizing at all, but it really just, it's as if he was accompanying us, like showing us the way, but without, forging a path and telling you to go down it or something like that. So yeah, it was great. Yeah, no,
that's really interesting, because I've worked with Alan for quite a number of years, and this being his final year now, I was just really curious about these qualities that you're talking about, because I like what you just said then about the challenge. When he begins, you begin to feel a certain sense of being comfortable, and yet this is going to be, if you like, somewhere where you can question what it is you're being given. And I'm just wondering if you can just think about any of the qualities that you feel Alan expresses that somehow enables those atmospheres or those kind of conditions to be established. Have you got any sense of what it is about Alan that enabled you to feel comfortable? In some which it's going to be challenging. You are going to be encouraged to question in a way that perhaps is not usual in certainly British schools.
Yeah.
I mean, have we got any feel about how he does it or not?
I think it is actually probably the playfulness. I think. I mean, you can see him get really, really happy about something and really enthusiastic, and it's very communicative. But on one side, it's not that happiness that sometimes is a bit artificial, or once you decide to be happy, you have to be happy. It was very like, it was very communicative and very, very much alive. You could see that it was genuine. But also, as I said, it wasn't just like, I have to be happy kind of, attitude. And that was my phone. It wasn't about just having to be happy.
Do you want to get it? Do you want to get your phone?
I might put it on silent, I don't know.
something which I haven't got the language to express properly. But I think there's something that attracts, say, a learner into a creative space with Alan. And as you say, there's a sense of playfulness. So, and again, these are my experiences of Alan, where you don't feel imposed upon.
Yeah.
You know, it's those qualities that I'm really curious about, because I did a lovely videotape of him sitting where you are and put it on the web, and it was after he'd gone through all of these exhibits, and I felt attracted into the space with him. Do you know, there was an energy, and I don't know if that's also part of what you're saying about how he creates this sense of playfulness, but also a feeling of being comfortable, I suppose. I mean, my language would be that the students can actually trust that they're not going, you know, to be violated, that their vulnerabilities will be, well, not just respected, but actually given. Yeah. So it was just those that I was just curious about how you'd experience Alan's relationship, you know, in those courses.
Yeah, I think it's true, and you tend to trust him more. And it's very strange, because then you have these, like, reminders of the usual world that tell you almost like, but wait, is it, you know, even just normal? Is there a trap somewhere? Can I actually trust somebody? Because, you know, because it always, you have this, like, real world, like, kind of coming in, but actually you just feel very comfortable, and you remind yourself that, exactly, you don't have to, you almost have to, like, remember yourself, like, okay, is this my opinion, or is this his opinion? Or, because exactly, you get really carried away. But then I think when you manage to, like, even get out of it and rethink, you actually then end up still, you know, agreeing to the same. You actually rationally agree to get carried away. It's not just something that happens. You're, like, underneath a magic spell that could be a trick. Even when you, like, stand back and say, like, is this a trick? You know, you actually realize, no, I don't think it is. Like, you really feel comfortable. And I think what makes it is that, as I was saying, he's very playful and cheerful and gets enthusiastic. But you can also see it's not forced. It's not, I've decided to be just statically happy, because you can see that he takes things seriously, and he also sees the more difficult parts and the sad parts, and I think that's what convinced me. It's not just the beauty in it all, but also, like, how harsh some things are, and the seriousness he would give it. And I think that's what completed the picture for me. Okay. It's not just the happiness, it's seeing the whole picture for what it is. So
just one last thing, really. It's linked to what you just said, because Alan tends to stress with me the importance of recognizing the vulnerability in the other. And so when you're saying that he has this ability not just to be in the sense of happy, you know, in his expressions, but also, I think you said, almost like he's almost aware of sadness or other qualities that help you to almost identify with, in my language, again, his authenticity. Have I understood that you're saying that his ability to connect with not only the pleasurable or the happy experiences in life, but also those that can be painful or difficult?
No, I think that's actually really true, because I think it's actually very hard to be vulnerable and to not necessarily admit it and say it to the world, but just even to live with that. Okay. Not that you have to, like, advertise it, but and it's even harder for other people to see it and to be okay with that. And I think that really was an important point, because exactly, sometimes we would talk a lot and go into really deep matters, and sometimes you feel very unsettled because your whole what you thought is being challenged, or you just see somebody that has such a different opinion and you don't even understand how that can be. And for me, that would really hurt, like when I just saw that somebody really, not that I have to be right, that's not my point, but that, I don't know, it would just really make me sometimes really sad to not share the same worldview as somebody or whatever. And in that moment, I really did feel like maybe very weak or whatever, but I felt that in that space, it was it was okay. Like, I was effectively weak. It's not like I'm weak, but actually I'm strong or whatever. Like, these things that are, try to make you feel better. I mean, very often to respond to a weakness, people tell you, no, but you're actually, I don't know, great, and you haven't done this and that, and, you don't have to feel weak because you're actually so much better, or all these motivational things. And I think there was no need for all of this, because it's not about convincing yourself, like, no, I actually am great, or I actually have whatever, I don't need to feel weak, I'm not weak, I'm super strong, or whatever. Or it's okay to be weak because that's the strength, or all these things. Like, that's really not the point. I don't think that's what one seeks when he or she is feeling weak. I think it's just that understanding that it's even just, it would actually be a problem to not be weak, I guess. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, no. Are you okay now? Do you think we've covered?
Yeah.
Sure? Because many thanks for that. I really appreciate it.
No, I think, if anything, if in some way, exactly, there's a way to, like, just perpetuate all of this. If that's the thing. If I don't know if help is the right word, but if I would just want to, like, share the experience, because I think it's important for it to be perpetuated. And I hope people will actually look into it, because probably, like, without understanding the full picture, like, without looking more into it, I think it can be, again, misperceived or whatever. And I really encourage people to just trust me, just look into it, and then you can decide for yourself, really. So yeah.
Yeah, because what I'd like to do, if this is okay with you, because I did it with Alan's clip last week, I just put it onto YouTube, and then it might be that you could just join in a conversation with Alan, myself, and others as we try to communicate, what has been important about this Life Environment People course. Is that okay with you? And
Yeah.
so I'll do that maybe tonight or tomorrow. And over the next few weeks or months, we could just see, without it being onerous for you to respond. But I think there's something that we could develop that would help the ideas to spread more widely.
Definitely. The only thing, I don't know if I'm I'll be moving a lot in this period, but, like, if ever I'm here.
Yeah, and it won't matter with the communications, will it? We've got Skype and there are other things that if we wanted to communicate, with Alan, we could do.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.